We're 5 minutes behind the curve. We'll try to make it up in our meeting. So, again, for those of you staying, if you would, check your phones real quick for me. Make sure that ringer's on silent or off or whatever other options you have. Call the meeting to order. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick pledge of allegiance. Then we're through, and we'll get right into this meeting, okay? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you once again for all that you do for us, for the beautiful day today. Lord, just thank you for all your many blessings, the mercy you show upon us. I ask that you take care in a very special way the folks down in Texas and Louisiana, those that are dealing with the recent storms, the ongoing issues right now and the months to follow. Trust, Lord, that you're equal to anything that's required, that you'll minister and you'll provide. Be with us as we go throughout this meeting. Lord, let us be earnest in our effort here tonight, and so that others might see you in us, and that we'll do the best that we can. And if it be your will, Lord, we pray for a positive outcome, and give us safe traveling mercies when we leave here. We'll ask all of these things in your name. Amen. Amen. All right. So the first order of business, we've got to take care of a little housekeeping here first. We'll approve the minutes. We've had 3 meetings since our last regularly scheduled business meeting. If you have a chance to read it, we can actually take your duties at one time, as all 5 are present. And that's the minutes of the regular business meeting on August 7th and the 5 o'clock public hearing on August 17th. Motion to approve, Jim. Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes from those meetings.
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion, any comment on those? Hearing none, Commissioner Strickland?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, and then now for the approval of the minutes from the public hearing at 9 a.m. on August 17th.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Any comment or question on those? All right, Commissioner Bess.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Good. All right. Next item here. At this time, I would like to recognize a special group. We have with us the Madison County 4-H Cowboys and Angels Equestrian Drill Team. I'm guessing it's the ones that are dressed pretty similar. What I'd like to do is ask Mrs. Susan Walton. Come on up and bring your team up here and introduce them real quick.
National champion.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight. It really is an honor and a privilege to be a part of this Madison County 4-H group. It was a dream, it was a vision, And in 3 years, these kids, these athletes, I might say, not only display and do the teamwork, they have to take care of their horses and have their horses prepared and their horses properly prepared as an athlete as well. I am so proud these kids are known throughout our district and region where we compete against 5 different states. They are known to have the most best sportsmanship. They're the ones that are cheering on the other teams. They're the ones that are mentoring the other kids. And it just brings tears to my eyes whenever I think about what we're doing as a team. It's not just one person. If it was one person, it would be different. But every one of these kids has to work with this group. And personalities don't always jive, but they always strive to do their best and to do the best for the good of the team and the county. And I'm just so very proud of them. I am going to ask them, please, to introduce themselves and just say their name and what grade they're in, if you don't mind.
Can they tell what school they go to?
And what school they go
That'd be
to.
great, thanks.
Let's start over here with Jace.
Okay, well, my name is Dave Sninsky. I'm in 7th grade, and I go to Madison County Middle School. My name is Annabelle Chapman. I'm in 9th grade, and I go to Madison County High School. My name is Lindley Hawks. I'm in 8th grade, and I go to Madison County Middle School. My name is Josiah Noriega, and I'm in 8th grade, and I'm homeschooled. I'm Rianne Adams, and I'm in the 10th grade, and I go to Madison County High School. I'm Louie Dixon. I'm in the 11th grade, and I go to Jefferson City School.
I'm Delaney Jansky. I'm in 11th grade, and I go to Madison County High School.
I'm Caroline Chapman. I'm a 12th grader at Madison County High School.
I'm Taylor Lester. I'm an 11th grader at Madison County High School.
I'm Harold Simpson. I'm in high school.
I'm Catherine Bowen, and I'm a college freshman, and I currently am enrolled at UNG in Oakland.
My name is Giles Stratton, and I'm in 12th grade at Madison County High School.
You'll notice that some of them have already graduated this year, so that according to the 4-H guidelines, we're grateful that they were able to participate, but they will be graduating from the team. Officially, they already have. And you notice that one of our members, Haley Dixon, is from Jefferson City Schools. The 4-H criteria just states that we can have members from other counties and other districts as long as they're not involved in the 4-H program in their area. So Haley chose to ride with Madison County, so we're glad to have her.
Can you name your coaches too? The people.
Okay. Well, I'm Susan Walton, and you all already know me, and I'm the head coach, and just what that means is I take the fall for everything. Assistant coaches, Julia Highsmith, another assistant coach, Melanie Graham, Brienne Noriega served as an assistant coach last year. We have Deb Jahinsky, who is coach and costume designer. Jamie back here is our treasurer, and she also serves as a coach on the team. And who am I missing? Courtney Seagraves is not here. We have Mackenzie is the only one that's not here tonight, so we only have one member that wasn't able to show because she's working. So.
And parents and grandparents.
And parents and grandparents. Again, this is a team effort. We could not do it without these parents that bring these kids and their horses to the practices for hours every Sunday and take the kids to the competitions, go camp out with us on the weekends when we compete, and everything that they do for the kids. So that's wonderful.
When you show the horses, or whatever you do with them, do they have to go through the gates? The judges call for a certain gate, and they make them go through the gates, or how do y'all do?
Well, let me go ahead and just recap. What the equestrian drill team does is kind of like synchronized swimming, but it's synchronized horseback riding. Whereas we are judged on a drill, depending on what division we're in, they have to go through those motions, but the horses all have to be in time with each other. Every movement has to match the music.
So there's more than one horse at the time?
Yes, sir. We usually compete. This year, we had a team of 8 and a team of 7 that competed, 2 different teams. And so what they do is they're all moving around at the same time, but they have to be doing the same thing at the same time.
If one's trotting, they all gotta be trotting.
That's right, that's right. And so we only have so many minutes to do it, and then we have to do so many different kinds of moves within that. So we compete in, costume divisions and, freestyle divisions, and am I forgetting anything? So it's really, the way that we are judged. Now, we can also perform at rodeos and different events as well, but they're not the competitive, they're just a performance of what we still do when we're competing.
Is this Western
This is
saddle?
all Western riding, yes, sir.
Well, before you sit down, I'm gonna make my way through. This is, I'm gonna have my attorney read it. It's got a lot of whereas in here, but, this is a this is a proclamation from Madison County 4-H Cowboys and Angels Equestrian Drill Team. Whereas, one of many points of pride for Madison County, 4-H, is its Cowboys and Angels Equestrian Drill Team, consisting of 2 groups of riders, a novice team and youth team. And whereas, this past year, the novice team was named state champion and the youth team was named state 4-H champion. And the teams were also named region novice and 4-H champions at the state and regional competition. And whereas the Cowboys and Angels competed in 12 rides, received 11 national titles, 3 division titles at the national championships. And whereas the Cowboys and Angels team was also recognized by the UGA Block and Bridle Club at this year's Great Southland Stampede Rodeo in Athens, where they received a $500 donation and were announced during the rodeo event. And whereas the Madison County 4-H novice team members are, and I'm gonna try to do a repeat performance here: Josiah Noriega, Haley Dixon, Catherine Bones, Brianna Adams, Lily Hawks, Annabelle Chapman, I apologize if I'm butchering it here, and Jace Chichinski. Tell me how to say that, Jace. Chichinski, I'm sorry. Okay. And youth team members are Delana Jahemski, Mackenzie Seagraves, Giles Stratton, Taylor Lester, Caroline Chapman, and Caleb Sims. And where the team officers and coaches include Jamie Smith, treasurer, Courtney Seagraves, secretary, Deb Jahemski, costume design and seamstress, Julia Highsmith, Melanie Graham, and Brianna Noriega, assistant coaches, and Susan Walton, head coach. And whereas these outstanding accomplishments befit Madison County's rank as Georgia's top agricultural county and continue its proud tradition of excellence in youth achievement, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Madison County hereby congratulate these dedicated team members, officers, and coaches, and expresses its sincere appreciation for their hard work and commitment. And I'd like for you all to give them a round of applause.
We'll get a picture here if you look in front.
Just one row.
You want that in front? Yeah.
And can I have the back?
I'm getting into that. You're already going to be.
That would be great information. Are we good?
I got one last piece of administrative action on that proclamation. I'm going to be looking for the board to vote to approve the proclamation. I have a second, a motion and a second. Any discussion? No? Commissioner Huckle?
Yes.
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 Very good, nicely done, too. All right, moving on. We now received a report from the industrial, wait, I'm sorry. Pardon me, Martin, I almost forgot one other item here. And it's appropriate because it comes on the heels of talking about 4-H. There we go. Our county extension agent is Adam Shear. Adam would have been here this evening. He would have actually done a lot of the presenting for the equestrian drill team. I wanted to highlight, and this is just a kind of an announcement, and I put it here because of his close association with 4-H. He's done an excellent job with all the folks involved. He's got several programs that are state and national levels. I'll read you real quick. Adam Spear recently received the 2017 Achievement Award from the National Association of County Agricultural Agents during an annual meeting of Professional Improvement Conference held in Salt Lake, Utah. This award is given to agents with 10 years or less of service in cooperative extension and have exhibited excellence in the field of extension education. This award is only presented to 2% of the county extension educators endorsed each year. Adam began working with UGA Extension in 2008 as State Agricultural Pollution Prevention Specialist and has served as Madison County Extension Agent since 2011. His work as agent focuses primarily on forage and livestock education, but has also worked with new and beginning farmers and addresses other concerns related to agriculture and natural resources. His efforts include creation of the Northeast Georgia Hay Contest, as well as a forage and pest management guide, partnering with fellow agents on conducting the Northeast Georgia Beef Cattle Short Course and the UGA Journeyman Farmer Program, and being a member of the UGA forage team. So when you see Adam, congratulate him and tell him well done. Okay, now without any further ado, Marvin, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, have a report from you tonight. You can read this without glasses on. For some reason, I don't know why. But we continue to see business expand or locate here in the county. We've had Main Street, a girls' treasure down in Coleman. They've got a ladies and girls dress shop and boutique there. Great place. They got lots of stuff in there to look at. So you can go buy a gift certificate and give it to your spouse or children or whatever, so it'd be great. But nice place. and very friendly people. We appreciate them being there. And then the Pigskins up here at 98 and 29 has opened up in the old Williams barbecue hut there, and so they are selling barbecue sandwiches, got good barbecue, so that's a good thing. That's good, glad to have them. The Georgia Renewable Power LLC is continuing to work on the side of Colbert as well as in Franklin County, but they've got a new project engineer, and he's handling the project and asked for water, if they could supply them 880 gallons a minute of water. So we answered him in a letter that we could do that, and it's a great thing for Madison County. It'll certainly help us boost our tax revenues for the county. And once it comes online in 2019, they've got to be generating power. So 58 megawatts, they're going to burn scrap wood, pallets, building materials, anything except treated they can burn. So it'd be a good thing to get rid of some of this scrap we got instead of bury it, in my opinion. So when you do that, you build a mountain out of it, and it's there for, you can't use that land forever. It's just there. So but we're glad to have them here, and they work on the roundabout. They cut the gas line up there again this last week. 2 or 3 hours of delay there. 29 was closed, and most of the businesses in that part of the county in Danielsville, so you couldn't get to anything there. Hopefully that'll get straightened out. The solar farms, neither one of them have started yet, but the 48-acre site down at Peoria Junction there, Georgia Power has something, and they told me that's going to start on it soon, and I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, when soon is, but hopefully that'll happen. The other company that has the option on the 200 acres on Colbert-Danielsville Road do still have the option on the property, and they're looking to put 100 acres of solar panels there, so that'll be a good thing. They don't eat, they don't drink water, they don't go to school, and they don't do any bad things, don't travel on the road, so there won't be a whole lot of things that's bad going on in the county. But hopefully we'll see that happen. They're working, they've just completed a 52 megawatt generator down in Hazelhurst of solar panels that they have installed there, and they started working on another project in southwest Georgia, so we hope we get them here. I hope they'll exercise that option and come to Madison County. Any questions?
Yeah. Or when you talk to the businesses that come in here and maybe don't locate in our county, you know, we have ideas of what they may want. What are they telling you that they need in Madison County? Well, different things. A lot of them want 4-lane access highway to interstate. And that's something we don't have. The 4-lane on Highway 72 dumps into Clark County and into Athens. It's not the greatest access we got. And I had a business at a loss because we didn't have that. And I asked him, I said, well, you can go into Athens, hit 441 and go up the interstate. He said, well, most of my business my deliveries go south, so I can't do that. And it's not a good route south from Athens to South Georgia, especially to the coast. Basically 98 would be the only road that we would.
Well, it'd be great if we could get that done. I've been trying to promote that for a long time. I haven't got anybody to listen to me much, but.
You ever hear anything about broadband, that kind of stuff too? Broadband access for these businesses?
Well, that's another thing, and of course, I think that would be great to have. Of course, the regional commission group with has looked at that. We're trying to look at that. Some of the folks that are in the Northeast Georgia Economic Development Group. And there's not a real simple answer to it. It's a very costly project to do, and then you got to have customers to pay for it. But it's something that's very much needed, especially here. We see that sometimes it doesn't meet the requirements of the company for their communication equipment. So,
I guess they want access to our right of way more than anything, probably, wouldn't it be? So they could put up small cells and things like that.
Well. There's some people coming out with some things that they're going to an antenna to use, so that might work. But it's fairly new, and they've just started doing it. I'd like to see some success ratio on that and see what has happened.
I'll come back and see. We'll talk.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right.
anybody? Seeing none, there is no old business. So into the new business, Commissioners, you have information, for your packet that, deals with the proposed environmental health fees that were submitted by the Madison County Board of Health. And, I met with these, folks about 2 weeks ago. The gentleman, that has issued this is Vander Baker. And this is, just basically a revised schedule of fees in the neighborhood of approximately roughly $25 per fee associated with things like with septic system inspections. Again, those things that the health department would be generally involved with. Food service, any food service inspection that needs to be conducted. What they're asking for is for the board to approve or to vote to adopt the new fee schedule on that.
I have a comment, but I think I'll wait till we get into discussion.
Okay. Do I have a motion? And if you have, there's a letter associated with that speaks to the last time these were increased was 2015. These are collected to cover the cost of providing services to the community. Motion to approve. I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second.
Now we can discuss.
Now, the discussion. Commissioner Scott.
Once before I made this comment, and I'll make it again, and I still don't like it. If you're willing, you're able to pay this expedited service fees, you can move to the front of the line, and I don't see that as being a good thing. That's putting able people that's able to pay that money, or is willing to pay that money, ahead of people that's already in line. I think it's stinks.
I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to this. And I didn't think to ask.
Well, the last time it came up, it's the same thing.
How that, how much that advances them or what they're.
It expedites it.
Yeah. Right.
That means if I'm sitting over there in line, and somebody that's got money comes along and puts the fee up, I'm still sitting in line while I go to the front of the line. That's where I read it as. Now, if I'm wrong, whatever I'm wrong, but that's where I see it.
Well, I think in some cases, if there's like for a septic system or whatever, if they had a requirement or, needed something urgently, if they were willing to pay that, I think that was the real reason for the provision. And I see where this has been in place since 2011.
I think that's probably about 15 minutes.
Okay.
I've been here for help. Okay.
How can we address that? Can we address that here in the fees now? Or is that something?
I'm trying to address it.
I'm just curious. I'd like to know what the other commissioners might think too.
And I made an omission too, on each one of you on that first page, at the bottom, there's a comment that says total projected fee increase. That's a strike through. That 11,000 is actually $4,500. That was a revision after this got sent via email, so it's $4,500 if that matters. But I take your point. So right now, what's in place? There is a fee already in place for it. I don't know, and it didn't change. I see where you're coming from. I can take it back to them and ask about that, but since there is no increase, approving the rest of these would not necessarily affect that, so. Is there any further discussion?
Where does the money go?
Well,
Or who receives, because, you know, it's about millage on it.
Health department, it's for the,
We don't get
the health department. Health department. The health department, if you haven't been over there or whatever, they actually, or if you don't know much about the department, they actually provide services at any number of levels to people with varying income and whatever their, you know, whatever issues they may have with paying for services and things like that.
But this stuff here is a required service if you want to do something.
It is required, the inspections are required, yes, that is correct. They are required. There's nothing new about that, so. As I said, it looks like.
It looks to me like they require everything you think of.
Yeah, well, a lot of these are just like for different size, you know, a septic system, for instance, different capacities and everything. And I think there are only two that I saw that were actual decreases, and that's for sampling water. You know, they dropped the fee from $50 to $40, and then a signature fee from $50 to $25. So, but
See, one of those expedited service things talks about swimming pools. If you want your pool open quicker, pay a little more. I'm through.
very good.
I can't get Mike to say anything, I'm through.
Well, if you've ever been in the next to the left lane in Atlanta, you know how things are going these days.
Any other discussion? All right, there's a motion and a second to approve. The vote goes to Commissioner Easko.
Since I don't approve, I'm gonna say no, it'll pass.
Okay.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Chairman, you let them know what our issues were.
Is that the one issue? Is that the one?
We have issues and then just
Maybe come back to the table.
go to our issues we're having already, like I said, with raising village and all the other fees that are already going up. They took 4 years last time. Maybe they can take a little time. Maybe next year we can revisit it.
I can do it.
I just want them to know why we.
All right, next item is, consider transferring surplus patrol car for radar equipment. The only reason this is even on the agenda is because of this county equipment. We have been walking out and selling a surplus, some of the old Crown Vic. The city of Danielsville, had a requirement for certainly not a patrol car, but just an extra vehicle. They approached us, the salvage value on the vehicle that they're asking for is about $1,000. They have in turn have given the county 3 radar sets for 3 separate cars. Those are about $4,000 each. New, they're probably $2,000 to $3,000 right now. So it's before us because it is county equipment, and it's required to vote to move that on or, you know, to either sell or to,
So we're swapping a car for 3 radars.
that is correct.
I make a motion to do that.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Any other discussion on that? Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
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 All right. Okay, roads updates. Since our last meeting, I can tell you that, Allen and Company have replaced the bridge or the pipes and put roads back into service that were left out on, Friday a week ago. That was that rain that, hit on the southern part of our county. Paul Smith, Musket Ridge, and so third, it's in the Oak Bend subdivision, so those 3 roads had to be pretty extensive work done on those. It's a lot of rain in that area. Anybody have any updates?
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure that we the gentleman earlier about Loop Road.
I did, I got a note on
Okay,
that.
good. Just want to make sure it's on that.
That's kind of in line with the progression, I guess, isn't it?
Right.
I've had people, there are people complaining during the rainy season, but they are impressed with the way that the road's been, scraped and the gravel that's been brought in. I've had some compliments on the Allen Young crew.
Good.
I spoke to Alan today.
Okay. You've already relayed anything? Okay. Anything else?
Can I have a question?
Yes, sir.
We're not gonna do the paving this year.
Any new paving? I'm putting together a list of, I've asked for potential projects, and some of the roads that were listed, I'm getting with Alan, and we're trying to get estimates on its resurfacing was the only ones
Well, I
about.
hope next year, we understand that we pay while school's out, and we don't put a moratorium on doing anything during that paving time.
That's
That's a
next,
miss from school then.
yeah. Well, that's next year. I'm just trying to get to tomorrow, so, but no, any other thing? Urgent matters, anybody? All right, statements and remarks from citizens. So, if anybody would like, this doesn't have to pertain to our agenda tonight. Any remarks on any item, we'll open the floor. What I will do is ask is keep our comments kind of limited. If everybody wants to speak, if we have an item that's collectively addressed or whatever, maybe if anybody can act as a spokesman, that would be helpful. But I'll open the floor at this time for anybody that has any questions or not questions, or a statement or remark. Ms. Moody. And I will have just name and address when you speak, please.
My name is Michael Moody. I live in 112 Witcher Road in Carlton. I'm the owner of the Broad River Outpost. I unfortunately was not able to make the first meeting because I didn't hear about it. And the second meeting came pretty quick, and I'd already made plans about being out of town, so this is my first opportunity to address you all as a group. I've been really hoping that we could all work together and come up with some sort of a solution to a problem that I think we all agree on, and there's a lot of litter on the river. And I've been here since, I've been in business on the Broad River for 36 years, and also correcting the statements made last time, I do pay taxes. I pay sales tax, and I own 2 pieces of property and pay property tax. So, who mentioned that the last time that you had a meeting, but that was kind of crazy. So we do have a problem with littering, and we've been working on it for many years. I'm an original member of the Broad River Watershed Association. And we, of course, we dealt some with it. We do, cleanups, periodically. But our main, focus had been with pollution from chicken farms or cattle farms or sewage problems and that. That was our main agreement to work. And as it was a land trust, we did have issues with the environmental aspects. And I don't know if we all knew that we have a couple of streams in Madison County that the EPA calls, damaged or not safe to be around. They don't want you swimming in it, drinking it, etc. So there are issues on the Broad River. And one section of the Broad River was actually cited by the EPA in not the distant past either. So to get to, the Broad River that I put on the map basically by most of these people around the state. I came here many years ago and I had 2 other jobs and supported myself trying to make the business work. And over the years, it finally became successful enough where I could, back off some of the other ones. And when that happened, of course, I had 2 competitors. So suddenly the amount of traffic increased and the issues increased and so on. So unfortunately, or fortunately as the case may be, they aren't in your county. At least their businesses aren't in their county, so you don't get to get their tax revenue from sales tax. But you do get their property tax. So they too are landowners on the river. It's not just, the ones that are complaining about the thing. I think everybody complains. We have many, many, many customers, and they come all the time, and they complain. And they also help clean up, and they also wish there was a solution, but they keep coming. So it's an issue that I think we need to address, and I'm more than willing to try to work with people. But being blindsided with this, surprise the other day was I don't think a, good way to work with the 2 or 3 outfitters that are actually using the river. The ordinance that you all came up with evidently was started or picked over from the Helen group. And if you've ever been to Helen, which I'm sure you all have to experience to drive through, it's a zoo up there. And on a daily basis, on the weekend, they probably put 8,000 or 9,000 people down the little teeny stream. And issues were litter, and to tell you the truth, if I was out there, I'd be thrilled to have a rule that said I couldn't let my customers have coolers. It's only a mile long, only on the river for an hour. But Broad River is a very different place. We have 6 hours, 4 to 6, 3 to 6 hours, and with no cooler and a very limited amount of liquid, we've done a survey on our business since the thing was passed, and I've done it on the Facebook, etc. And almost 99% of the people were saying no. They don't want to come if they can't have a limited amount of accessories. Like they have a cooler, you can bring your sunscreen. My wife says, well, what about keeping my sandwich cool so it doesn't rot, etc., etc. So there's a real demand for that. So I have a friend that owns the company that's just below Helen. It's called the Wildwood Shop. It's been there actually longer than I've been here. And it's been around, I think, about 50 years. And I asked Carl, I said, well, what do you do? Is this a cooler thing affect you? He said, no. We have coolers, but we, ask for a small cooler. And I said, well, how about your landlord? He says, well, most of the landowners, they don't really mind because they've come here expecting to have to deal with the public. And so if you come and you build a house next to a chicken farm, you pretty much expect it to smell like chicken poop. But if you show up and nice place and all of a sudden a chicken farm moves in next door, well, that's another issue. So that, to me, is part of the problem. That I started this business before most of these people, there are a few that were here, but most of these people came here after I started my business, and they should have been well aware of issues. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that there are some people that shouldn't be on the river. But I have a real hard time when a guy walks up to me and says, here's my money and I'd like to use your river. I go look at him and say, oh, I don't know how to profile people. I don't think that's my job particularly. So there are some times you can make a decision and a bunch of crazies, and we've outlawed SAE, the fraternities, that one, and KA is another one, and a couple other ones. We banned them. They came in and ripped my boats in half. I don't know how they did it, but they managed. And so they came one more time, and I charged them $1,000 deposit, and I made them hire my staff, go along with them, and clean up after them. And then I said, forget it. Well, unfortunately, they went to the sandbar the next time. And I think eventually the sandbar threw them out, too. So, the one real benefit I can see from this one ordinance that you have passed is that my competitors have been pretty aggressive over the years. But on this particular case, we're actually working together, which is pretty exciting. Natalie is actually a pretty reasonable person. I've had to deal with her brother in the past, and that wasn't so fun. But Natalie, I think, is a reasonable person, and she can be worked with very, very well. And so the two of us have already talked about things. So I would ask you in the future to maybe get together and work with all of us, or one at a time, and come up with some solutions that will allow the population of the state and the county to use this wonderful resource. And by banning coolers, you are going to probably put me out of business, which will be your tax money going away, and there'll be no access to the river. The only access on the river is private property. So if you're going to do that, you're going to say, okay, only the property owners get to use this resource. So that's not a good thing as far as I can tell you. So I know there's some people here that have some very serious issues, and I agree with them. There are some really serious issues, but you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And that's where I'm coming from. So if you guys could reconsider over the time and chat and get together with us at some point or other and come up with I would consider a real solution to allowing people to have a cooler and a drink and a sandwich. The day of the eclipse, I had 120 girls from Westminster Academy out of Atlanta. They had coolers. That's not a problem. But they won't go without it. And they all say, well, I'll go to the Chattahoochee, or they'll go wherever else. So if you want to throw out all your business coming and all that, and be actually known for a county that's not very business friendly, then you can stick with what you got. But it's going to be a hardship on me for sure. Thank you.
Michael?
Yes, sir.
Where you put your boats in, do you have to cross
somebody else's property to get to the river?
It's an adverse possession, yes.
You do have to.
It's an adverse possession, yes. It belonged to Georgia Power at one point. In 1904, I think they...
But it's not a private owner.
Oh, it is now. It got changed. Gerald Carey, the sandbar owner, used to own it. And he sold it, and then somebody else sold it, it's gone through the hands. But yeah, it's a 30-foot strip that is basically unusable by anybody except I've been using it for 35 years. Does that make? Long ago, I actually asked Georgia Power about it, and Mr. Love, who was a friend of Gerald's, as a matter of fact, said, I asked him about the property, he said, don't worry about it. If we ever want to sell it, you'll be the first to know. Next thing I know, Gerald owned it. And then I talked to him and his lawyers, and I said, well, I got adverse possession, yada, yada, and I've been using it ever since. So it is an issue, and I just didn't buy it, but of course then I'd be paying taxes on it, so whoever owns it still pays that. It's the middle of the river is what it works. And it's actually the middle of the main channel, if you can figure where that is. Any other questions?
No, I have none.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Now, if you'd like, yeah.
I don't know if this would be helpful, but I've done some reading about Georgia rivers and the problems that occur when people boat and play in Georgia rivers. It appears that folks who drink alcoholic beverages are less aware of following rules and keeping things neat and picking up after themselves. And on the rivers where alcoholic beverages have been banned, the pollution rate is dropping. People can take sodas or water with them, but they seem to do a better job of picking up after themselves when that's all they take. Maybe that helps.
All right, thanks. Is there anybody else that has to speak? I just got all the weight on one side of the room here. Any further comments? Anybody else? Anything at all? Wow. Like something very, oh, I'm sorry.
Not bad, remember. I go to the river quite a bit, take my dog up there to go swimming, and I always take more out than I take in, trash-wise.
Oh, trash?
Yep.
Okay.
I walk in with one bottle, I walk out with 4 cans, 3 bottles, but from the dump and the trash up top. What's the problem with finding people, which will take care of for the sheriff budget issue? I mean, make it a good fine, make it $500 per litter and on river.
So in answer to that, I mean, there are, you're right, there are penalties already. I don't think, and I can turn it over to you, but in theory that might sound good. I don't know that we want to be arbitrary in how we, how you administer it. There are already laws that, like you say, that pertain to not just littering, but to trespass, all these other things. And truly it does come down to the ability to enforce. That's what it is. And it's a burden on anybody in the enforcement business, but I have to leave that up to them.
Where would the fine go for state littering? Where would the fine go, to the sheriff's department or to the state?
Yeah.
Because, 3 good fines,
Right.
paid for our salary.
And I'll tell you, in just a second, if you'd like, I'll give him, and I only say it because he's a warden. If you want to, I'd probably butcher the answer on this, is what I'm trying to say.
That's fine.
Yeah, so, I'm suggesting that it depends on who actually cites or cites. I could be wrong, but I don't know that DNR is necessarily compelled to enforce local code.
No, sir, I'm not. I can only enforce state law. So therefore, any code, local code, ordinance is established by the county. That would have to fall under the Madison County deputies or the Madison County Code Enforcement. The laws that are on the books right now The littering, that fine is set by the probate court. We don't set the fines unless they are established in the law. There are some that are established in law, such as hunting without permission is set in law, minimum $500 fine. The others that are not established in law are up to the local probate court or state court, depending on what court the county has that takes DNR cases. And they establish the fines for the different violations.
And so the river littering would have to be covered by county?
No, I do enforce the litter on the river. Just so that y'all understand.
So you're the bad guy?
I'm the bad guy, yes, correct. There is approximately, right now, I'd have to go back and look, based on where the usage of the river is, it is somewhere between 8 to 14 miles of river right now that there is usage on, okay? Whether that be private landowners, that be people trespassing onto the property, and this does include the South Fork, the Broad River where it goes all the way down into Oglethorpe County, and that is me. I am the single game warden for Madison County. That is, I'm the one that's going to be on all that, along with all 280 square miles of Madison County. Along with also enforcing boating on Lake Hartwell during the summer. So I'm stretched really thin. I can only be in 1 or 2 places at any given time. I try to spread myself along the river as best I can. Then if you add in the amount of time per contact with each individual when I do run into a violation, average contact time is going to be 10 to 20 minutes. That's me catching them, getting them up off the water where I can deal with them, issuing them their citation, and then releasing them and sending them on their way. So yes, it's a very involved. If I write 3 to 5 tickets a day on the river on a good day when I'm working, I work really hard, and that may not sound like much, but that's all by foot. So I may start at one point and walk to a whole nother point. And then if they don't respond to my calls to stop, then I have to either try to go down and stop them at another point, or then walk all the way back out, get in my truck, and go to one of the takeout points to then take care of it there. So yes, so there's not an easy answer. I wish there was. The ordinance was presented to me, and I explained the issues to the gentleman who approached me with this ordinance. Personally, I don't have any problem with any ordinance that anybody ever wants to bring towards y'all. I mean, that's their right. And as landowners on the river, it does go to the midpoint of the river. So landowners own to everything, every piece of ground, rock, everything that goes to that midpoint. The other situation is landowners can get together. And if landowners form an agreement, they can actually block passage through their property on the river because they own that property. They can string a cable, they can put a fence, they can do whatever they choose to do. It's their property as long as you have, if you have 2 property owners who have come to an agreement to do that, or if you have a property owner who owns both sides of the river, they own that.
They own their water. So why?
That is the common misconception. Okay.
They do.
The river is free flowing, yes, but they own said property under the water, and they own any rocks, islands, anything. They just own other flowing water. This is something that's been encountered up in North Georgia on trout streams.
I know about that.
Okay, it's the same thing. This is a non-navigable waterway. Landowners can do that. If this was considered a navigable waterway, it would be different. Okay, then they would not be able to stop the passage of anybody down the river.
They would not be able to stop.
If it was a navigable waterway, they would not be able to. Okay. Non-navigable and navigable is established by the Corps of Engineers, and it's based on whether goods and services are moved up and down said waterway. Okay, and that's what it's based on. That's what it's been, how it's been based for centuries. Okay, and for as long as I can, my research, I went all the way up through our all the way up into our state of Georgia, into the legislature up there, and to the Attorney General's office, and had them look into this. This question came about on watersheds. Watersheds are pretty much the same thing. Imaginary line up to the surface of the water, that's the property owners. So therefore, they can stop all access into their property where that imaginary line is. So no, there is not a natural right for anybody to actually have access to the river. If landowners want to give access, they can. There is no public access on the Broad River except for the put-in point. But then when they put in at that put-in point, they are then going and traversing across other people's properties.
It's all trespassing every time we go over.
Yes.
Say the last thing again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
They are.
I don't want to admit it.
So
Shane, now let me again. I'm not going to deal with the trespassing issue unless a landowner has done and filed an affidavit with me that they do not want anyone on their property fishing, hunting, or trapping.
If they do that, will you put a sign on their property?
I don't post the signs. Landowners can post property. Georgia does not require landowners to post. Whether they do an affidavit or not, Georgia does not require landowners to post their property.
So I'll be arrested for take my dog to the river.
Where at?
Broad River.
If the landowner chooses to do that, do an affidavit, yes, you could.
If I did the outpost, walk down around the corner, I trespassed on somebody's land.
Correct. Yes, sir, you would be trespassing at that point. But now, like I said, that's not going to be something that's enforced unless the landowner has a complaint and files the proper paperwork with us. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But I won't know that until I get arrested.
And that's not my responsibility. That is each individual's responsibility to know whose property they have the right to be on. It is not a landowner's responsibility to broadcast to everybody that they do or do not have the right to be there. It is each individual's responsibility under Georgia law to know that they have the right to be on somebody else's property and to know where said property lines are. And I'm just telling you what Georgia law says. Okay?
I can't leave my house now.
But I'm glad you asked the question, because I learned something too.
So what you're saying, Shane, is if somebody on one side of the river could put a fence halfway and on the other side of the river put a fence halfway. That is correct. Cable or whatever. Cable or anything else, yes, sir. And stop any traffic from coming down. They could. And that's legal. And that is legal. That is legal. Yes, sir. Where did Mr. Moody go? The only thing that the Corps of Engineers requires, you cannot put a dam or anything like that that would stop the natural flow of the water. That's also, no disturbance of the bank.
Is that on any creek or just a Broad River?
That would be, well, on creeks it's a different story because that may be totally within somebody's property. So creeks do go under the same thing, but creeks are a little bit different than a river.
The river is on somebody's property too.
Do what, sir?
It's just like a creek. The river can be on somebody's property too.
The river is on somebody's property. As I said, it's a non-navigable waterway. So lack of a better way to explain it to you, sir, this is the Broad River.
Yep.
This is the midpoint.
Right.
This property owner, he owns this section.
Yep.
This property owner here, he owns this section. He owns the imaginary line up to the surface of the water. Okay? And any land, mass, island, rock, sandbar, anything like that. It's just the flowing water that he does not own. Okay? So yes, you put in right here, this guy tells you you have permission and you go over here and you get on this guy's bank and fish, and this guy's got an affidavit about nobody fishing, yes. Is there any cases where a property owner to the far bank of the river? There is a couple of landowners that not own property on the other side of the river.
The big sandbar is owned by the same person, right?
Wait a minute,
The big sandbar on the, if you go down the river, a lot of people get out.
Yeah.
One property owner owns both sides of that, because I looked into this issue too.
there's actually, I'd have to go back and look. I know there is one person who does own both sides of the river. Then there are some other places where Gerald Carey still owns some of the strips down the river. So therefore, so that does create, those little strips where he still owns. What that amounts to is, and I don't know if y'all are familiar, I believe it was in the 50s or 60s, they were going to put a power plant in, a water generating plant, or 70s. Okay. But the Georgia Power owned the property for years before that, and that's why those 30-foot strips are there. Then when the power plant, hydroelectric plant got canned, they then began to sell off all those tracts. At one point in time, the state of Georgia was approached by Gerald Carey to purchase all of those tracts, and the state of Georgia declined to do so. But if that would have happened, then that would have been pretty much the entire stretch of the Broad River from the Broad River outpost down to below the 172 bridge would have had public access all the way down. But now all that land has changed hands. And to answer your question, yes, the spot where Mr. Moody does put in his boats, he is crossing another landowner's property to do so. I actually know the landowner. Okay, so, do what? No, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a question.
The reason I ask you that, I saw a deed probably 20 years ago where the deed called for the far bank of the river. And he didn't own property on the other side of the river, but his deed said that he owned his property went to the far bank of the river.
I have not seen one that goes to the far bank. Everything I have seen goes to the midpoint. Now, whether some people still own some of those 30-foot strips, some people who have bought property think their property goes all the way to the midpoint, but that strip is still in place in a lot of locations. So they go down to that. It used to be 100 foot, but as the river has changed and drilled the bank away, that keeps kind of changing a little bit. It was 100 foot, okay? 100-foot section from the high water mark up the bank was what the property line was. And then then to the midpoint was the rest of the property line. The reason why it had the high water mark and 100 foot was, as we said, the river continually changing and banked the roads. So that's where some of the issue and questions has come in, because people have actually kind of started losing some of their land as the bank has decreased the 100-foot mark. But all the land, every tract of land along the Madison County, Broad River, Elbert County, Oglethorpe, up into Franklin County, up the Hudson, up the North Fork, it all goes to the midpoint of the river.
Did you ever get Stan to come up and help you any?
He has helped me when he was my sergeant, but now that he's in Thompson, I don't see him very much. And I pretty much am the one that works all the Elbert County side of the river also. Yeah. Did that help?
Sure did.
I appreciate it.
And so
Any other questions?
It all comes down to, you're the only enforcer we have for the whole county on everything.
No, not for everything.
But as far as the rivers,
unfortunately, as much I love all the deputies. I love the sheriff. I would never. I'm not going to throw them under the bus for nothing. But they've got the county. They're answering calls. They're answering domestics. They're doing that. Okay. I'm the game warden. Out there is what I do. That's my job. And that's my office.
Thank you.
I have at times been able to get deputies and go down there and work with me, but unfortunately, they don't have enough manpower. So it's hard for them to release one or two deputies to go down there to try to catch people littering, You know, we do encounter quite a bit of illegal drugs down there. It's hard for them to turn deputies loose to go down there and help me. About my only chance is to get other game wardens to come and help me if they're not, if they're not taken up and busy with other things also. So, yeah.
So do we as citizens, can we do anything to enforce litter?
No.
It's illegal to have alcohol on the river, right?
No, sir, it is not.
It's not?
No, sir. They can,
The property owner owns the land.
there's nothing that, there's a whole lot of issues here that we,
I think what the ordinance did was encourage people to bring liquor instead of beer.
So I don't know that it encourages it.
Well, they're gonna drink something.
But the truth of the matter is they just show up hammered anyhow, and if all of us would be or not. The real impact and there's a net effect here is if you limit the container, then you limit the amount that can go, and you limit the amount that can get thrown out.
if I may comment on that, my understanding, and if I'm speaking out of turn, y'all please let me know. My understanding, I'll be honest, I support it because it does make sense. When you limit a certain amount of container and you're saying that they can only bring one container, most of the time it's going to be a reusable container. The chances are they're not going to want to throw that out on the rock or throw that out on the bank. They're going to drink their liquid that they have in there, and they're going to continue to carry that out with them. It's not going to wind up flowing down and being washed up on a sandbar somewhere. If I'm speaking out of turn, y'all please tell me.
That's right.
Okay, that's how I understand the reason why this ordinance was discussed and came about.
That sounds good. I appreciate the input and the clarification. What's your last name again, Shane?
Sartor, S-A-R-T-O-R.
S-A-R-T-O-R.
And if y'all have any questions, feel free to call me. I'll give you my cell phone number.
Ooh, be careful.
It's fine. No.
I gave my phone
Everybody, I get calls from people and I have no idea who they are.
That's all right, though. I actually didn't remember. I just,
But those of you who may not, I'll be more than happy for y'all to have it. 706-202-6464.
So the main thing is we need to change people's behavior.
And that's what I try to do. And when they encounter me, it changes their behavior quite drastically. Right now, I believe the fine for littering is $250, I think. I'll have to go back and look on that. I don't do follow-ups on my tickets anymore, so I can't say outright what that is.
And Shane, I'm sorry, do you ever write tickets for littering?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Littering is a very big pet peeve of mine. I'm a firm believer in if you can carry it in, you can carry it out. I'm actually, I run into quite a few boaters who tend to disagree when they pile their beer cans in their boat and then they capsize and refuse to pick up their beer cans.
Oh, not littering,
They claim that's not littering.
Yeah.
I still write them a littering ticket, and because you're responsible. No matter what you do, I mean, anything that you bring with you, it's your responsibility to be sure it goes out with you.
Right.
Whether you flip a kayak or not.
Words will be killing before they probably would have flipped it.
Well, yes.
I flipped mine the other day, but I kept
How many cans
no cans. 2 water bottles, they were.
So you were trespassing?
No, I wasn't, I paid.
But let me, I want to qualify that.
I did not get out of my boat.
Right now, on the Rod River, affidavit properties are only 4. Okay? Now, I also have permission, which I don't have to have, but it's always nice to talk to the landowners and get it. I have permission from numerous landowners to do whatever I need to do on their property. Now, that doesn't mean I can write people for the fishing and stuff like that because they don't want to do the affidavit yet. But unfortunately, it's gonna get to that, okay? I know a lot of y'all have probably gone down off of Roy Woods Road where the culvert is. That is an affidavit property. And that gentleman owns all the way past that island. The midpoint of the river is actually on the other side of the island. So, yes, I run people off from there all the time.
I've been down there.
Yes. And if I encounter people, right now, that landowner has expressed a desire that if they are not fishing or not trapping or something like that, all he wants done right now is them asked to leave and please, not to return. And I get their information, and then if I run into them a second time, then we deal with it with a ticket for trespass.
That's at the culvert, the big culvert.
At the culvert. From the culvert, all the way up to the fence, then you have another section, down there. I'll go ahead and say this, Mr. Moody actually has an affidavit on his property at the takeout point against people fishing right there. So we have, Mr. Moody is one of the affidavit providers rather. So that's 2 of them, and then I have 2 north.
Does he own the property where he takes out?
He does. He owns the property where his outpost is, where the building is, where the parking lot is, and then he owns the takeout point. Those are his 2 pieces of property. Where he does put kayaks in, he is crossing that stretch of land that does belong to another landowner. Where Gerald Carey puts in, he owns the land. Gerald Carey owns the land where he takes out. The outfitter up on the northern section owns the land where he puts in. I'm not sure, where does he take out?
He owns where he takes out.
He does own where he takes
Not
out?
where he puts it.
Where's he put? I thought he was putting in right there where his little cover is. Oh, is he putting in north? Okay, he's putting in at the bridge then. Okay. Then he's putting in at the same point that Moody is down on 29 Bridge.
Double bridges.
He's putting in at double bridges. Oh, okay, he's putting in on Franklin County end. Okay.
Is the kayak season over now?
Yes, sir.
Is the kayak season over now?
No.
Labor Day weekend.
No, it'll go on until it just gets too warm or the water gets too low. But the northern run, I'll call it, right now you have the northern, the central, which the central is probably the most highly used point. That would be from Rod River Outpost down past 172 Bridge. You have the southern strip, which would be from the sandbar at their takeout point down to 72 Bridge. Then you have the northern, which is the 29 run down to Rod River Outpost put-in point. And the 29 run is probably going to be the one that starts getting a lot of activity as the water decreases. The middle run becomes so low that you don't really boat more than you drag and walk. But the northern run still has enough water where you can actually float. So I'm just giving all the information that I have gained and experienced for doing this for 17 years here in the county.
Well, regardless of which side you're on any of the ordinances here, though, if we put one in, appreciate the effort that not just you, but the local law enforcement puts forth in trying to support and enforce. It's easy to sit up here perhaps and vote yes, but I know there's the other part about making it happen, so we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And if any of y'all would like to come and see what it's like, please let me know. I can get the clearance from the landowners and let y'all go down there and kind of experience it for yourself.
Very good.
Just so you have a more understanding.
All right, well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anything else, sir?
One last thing, if the probate court is responsible for setting fines,
Right.
how do we approach them about raising the fines? Do we just talk to the judges down there, or through you guys, or?
It's a good question. I don't know that, my voice has any more weight than yours does, I'd have to approach them myself just to figure out what their protocol is for doing that. I'm not sure if they have guidelines or anything. I wasn't really prepared to talk about that. I'll see what I can find out about, the process for that, though. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. If anybody else would like to say anything? All right, folks, we're not gonna oh, there you go. All right, y'all. That's all.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Y'all seen me up here a couple times before, I know. My name is John Marca.
Oh, John Marca, okay.
I live on Warwoods Road, right close to the takeout. I'm kind of the driveway that people turn around in when they drive away from the road there, the river there. The example that Mike Moody gave of the Chattahoochee in Helen, I don't think it's real representative of what he's really asking for. And I'd like to give y'all a little bit better representation, and that's the Green River. It's up in Saluda, North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes south of Asheville. It's a pretty big tubing river on a certain stretch. There's a road that runs right next to it, about 6 miles, and it's a dam release river, and so they've got consistent water flow. In the 80s, in the early 90s, man, it was the boozer run. I mean, everybody, you rented 2 inner tubes, one for you, one for your cooler. And it was a bad scene. About 10 years ago, the county got together and they banned all alcohol in the river. And initially, the outfitters, they really had a hard time. But they did get together and they modified who they were trying to get to go down the river. I still go down that river once or twice a year. It's kind of a class 2, fairly easy run for beginners. But the last time I went down it, there were families, there were youth groups, there were private boaters that were still going down the river. Everybody's getting along. The landowners, it's all privately owned along the side of the river, other than a couple of bridges that cross, and there is a public put-in and a public takeout. Everybody gets along. There's people fishing on the side of the river while people are going down the river. And I know this is going to be a hardship, and I know what you're hearing from the outfitters, and there's some truth to that. There's a little bit of responsibility for them to modify who they're marketing to. And if they will do that, I think they will thrive, because that river, the outfitters have thrived. They've actually increased the number of people they've taken down the river, because it's the place people want to be.
None of our outfitters sell alcohol, so it's all people bringing it in, so that, I like the idea.
Yeah, and so, like I say, I know that there are concerns with the outfitters, and I worked as a raft guide for 20 years. I would be a hypocrite if I wanted to get rid of all the rafting and all that stuff, but I've never worked on a river that was a free-for-all like Broad River. And I think that some modification, everybody can thrive, and the county will thrive too, and the outfitters will thrive. So, and I hope it happens, because I love the river. I've had the river at least 50 times a year. I see the good and the bad of it.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice call. Can't say quit this time. I'm just kidding. I was trying to cut you off. Anybody else? Anybody? All right, folks. Okay.
And if I could add, please, as the attorney sitting up here for y'all, my silence is neither endorsement nor disputation of all of these esoteric legal issues that have been discussed. If you want your attorney's opinion, you can ask, but otherwise, I'll sit here.
All right. I appreciate that. Silent authority, that's nice.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think?
I got to
What we can do is we can adjourn and then have that conversation after that. Is that all right?
No, it would not be all right. Only 3 of you leave.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sure, there's anybody else, anything on board?
He's not going to say this opinion.
Oh, did you want me to? No, well, I mean, there were just lots of things there, that, especially that the game board discussed, that were, they're more complicated than they were
Okay.
presented.
Okay.
And I would not want anybody to leave here thinking they have an opinion of council that they can go swinging the fence across the river.
I'm a bit concerned about that.
I just remember being clotheslined in the dark one time. It's just, that wouldn't appeal to me either, so, but, any other closing remarks? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Discussion, Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
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 No.
Say right here, just